In this video, we will overview the cloud-based virtual X-ray laboratories developed by the company Atell, which stands for Advanced Tools for E-Learning. The virtual laboratories have been designed to allow users to perform authentic research and laboratory experiments online using a realistic X-ray powder diffractometer and data analysis software. The primary goal of the XRD labs is to provide students with the first-hand experience needed for a deep understanding of X-ray diffraction techniques, estimating their precision and limitations, and the factors that affect the accuracy of the obtained results. In the context of online experiments, students are introduced to equipment operation and safety precautions. They will scan specimens and analyze the obtained XRPD patterns to determine structural parameters, phase composition, crystallite size, and etc. Students will learn how to measure peak positions, intensities, and FWHM, subtract the background, convert 2 theta angles to D-spacing, approximate diffraction peaks with bell curve functions, separate K-alpha-1 and K-alpha-2 duplets, etc. While performing online experiments, students will have to index patterns, define the lattice type and parameters, identify phase compositions, estimate crystallite sizes and microstrains, investigate phase transitions, and much more. Students will also become familiar with the safety precautions for working with X-ray radiation. The digital X-ray powder diffractometer is a key part of this virtual lab. It introduces students to the design and operation of a generalized geometry diffractometer and allows them to perform authentic analytical tasks. The simulated digital diffractometer enables students to examine the major parts and systems of the equipment and study the underlying principles while getting them familiar with the tool and preparing them for its practical use. While exploring a flat plate gonometer, the main system of a diffractometer, and its components, students can better understand relevant laws of physics and their engineering implementations. Let's begin with the X-ray tube and see how the source of the X-rays is explored in this context. Students can examine an outer casing of the X-ray tube, its heat exchanger and other parts, as well as learn the parts' names. Then, they can see the tube itself and learn the main characteristics of commercially available tubes. They can also study how X-rays are generated by an X-ray tube and the physical principles on which the tube's operation are based on. Additional learning resources can be called up for deeper, just-in-time learning of the underlying fundamental laws. The laboratory's resources include simulations and self-guided virtual experiments, as well as complementary tools for instructors and an online repository of virtual samples. A specimen to be studied can be selected from an open online repository of virtual samples. The types of samples available for online experimentation include metals, minerals, ceramics, polymers, nanostructured materials, thin film, and even human kidney stones. The unique feature of these virtual labs is the ability to add new samples to the repository. These can either be actual measured patterns or patterns calculated based on known structural data. A variety of acceptable input data file formats, including CIF files obtained from the Cambridge Structural Database, raw data files generated by major brands of diffractometers, and many other formats. Simulations are task and learner neutral. They dynamically model a process in equipment design and operation or associated processes. Let's see an example of the simulation. The interactive Bragg's law simulation helps learners better understand how the diffraction of X-ray beams on the atoms of a crystal structure generates an XRD pattern. A user can vary the interplanar spacing, D, X-ray tube material, i.e. radiation wavelength, and, by comparing XRD powder patterns, visually analyze how these patterns affect the angular positions of the diffraction peaks. The laboratory includes a number of self-guided online assessments for students that precisely mimic actual research or analytical tasks. In contrast with a simulation, each online experiment is focused on a particular task and, in addition to one or more simulations, includes educational resources and tools for evaluating student knowledge and skills. A complementary authoring tool allows instructors to modify existing virtual experiments and create new ones. Let's see what a typical online experiment looks like. We will use the virtual experiment indexing a powder diffraction pattern as an example. Each online experiment starts with specific learning objectives and is comprised of an experiment description and a brief theory and student assignment, detailed step-by-step instructions for students that may include a worksheet or assessment, and associated learning resources. First, from an open repository of samples available for experiments, the student should select a virtual specimen to be studied. Let's select the ferroelectric material, the lead tatanate, and install it. The user should set up the scanning parameters, open the shutter, and start scanning. While scanning, the user can switch from the dynamic Bragg's-Brentano diagram to the goniometer view. It is also possible to run auxiliary Bragg's law simulations to observe how the X-rays get diffracted by crystal lattice. The pattern can then be either saved and analyzed by any third party, or it can be opened with our software for spectrum analysis. The complementary spectra analyzing tools make it possible to bring students to the good old days and have them manually measure the peak positions and intensities. The program enables users to smooth the pattern, eliminate the background, fit diffraction peaks with different profile functions, and more. The pattern analysis results can be recorded in an online or printed worksheet. The partial list of available online experiments includes XRD pattern analysis and indexing, defining unit cell type and parameters, qualitative and semi-quantitative phase analysis of minerals and various materials, estimating crystallite sizes and microstrains, investigating phase transitions in solids, and much more. This list can easily be expanded by an instructor. An intuitive, wizard-driven authoring tool and corresponding templates enable instructors to customize existing virtual experiments and create new ones. The tool also allows them to add their own worksheets, assessment quizzes, and favorite multimedia for just-in-time learning. Various types of quizzes and control questions are allowed. In academic education, the VLab simulations and virtual experiments can be used as follows. As part of online tutorials to add interactivity and to keep learners engaged, as practice assignments for students enrolled in relevant large-scale lecture classes or in distance learning courses, to prepare students for hands-on practice in actual X-ray labs, in combination with real X-ray equipment for blended experimentation, for interactive lecture demonstrations, and for performance-based assessment of students' abilities to apply gained knowledge and skills for solving practical tasks. One of the virtual X-ray labs was incorporated into the blended course Introduction to Solid-State Chemistry, taught to students of Massachusetts Institute of Technology by Professor Michael Sema, and is available on the edX MOOC platform. In that lab, students had to index diffraction data from an unknown cubic metal, determine the crystal structure, and calculate the lattice constant and atomic radius. Before our virtual lab was used, the students were provided with a set of peak positions, and their task was confined by math calculations. The integration of the virtual lab enabled them to perform an authentic experiment, get acquainted with the X-ray diffractometer, collect and analyze data, and so on. As a result, the students gained much more knowledge and practical skills. Various educational multimedia can be integrated into the labs for just-in-time learning.
0 does satisfy the sum being an even number, so this will be the second reflection.
You are welcome to visit the website of the Virtual X-ray Labs, which can be found by following this link. Thank you for watching.